Good evening. This is Jamie from the channel Read Brucey. I am new to YouTube, but I am not new to the Christian book community. And I've been on Instagram, or Bookstagram as we like to call it, for several years. But I did want to introduce myself. I, in fact, am like I said, I've been around for a while. In fact, I'll have a birthday tomorrow. I'll be 51. So I'm older, I know. Let's talk. I'm going to do the book newbie tag. So I don't know who to give the credit for, so I do apologize. But I'm going to try to answer these questions. Why did I start this channel? That's the first question. I started this channel for several reasons. One, and I'm only half kidding when I say this, my friends pressured me into it. I'm just kidding. Um, but seriously though, a lot of my friends that I've made in the community had suggested that I made the transition from Bookstagram to Booktube, and so this summer I decided to go ahead and do that. I am a high school English teacher, and so it is a little bit difficult, or I worry about the difficulty of filming during the school year. The second reason would be to share my love of books as an older apostolic Pentecostal. And I want to use that point of view, that worldview, in my book reviews. Okay. And number three, as I just mentioned, I am a high school English teacher. So sometimes I use that technical mind to review books, because sometimes I can't help but let my English teacher persona take over as I'm reading. It just happens. The second question says, what are fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? Well, as I just mentioned, I'm older. I'm from the deep South, Louisiana to be exact. And I read from all genres across the board, except for horror. And I shouldn't even have to say this, spicy books. I don't read those kind of books. So I don't read mainstream. I read across genres, but mostly in the Christian fiction umbrella. Occasionally I'll read some YA or some classics, but I just shy away from mainstream books these days because of themes and such. All right. What I am most excited about for my new book, my new channel, I'm excited to hopefully expand my platform for sharing my love of books, so I can maybe talk, in longer form, show my book journal, maybe talk more about my love for Bible journaling, about my love for Bible study and theology. Occasionally, that is probably not going to be the focus of my channel, but it is part of who I am. Why do I love reading? I love reading because I love the new experiences I get through reading. I grew up without a television. Of course, so I think that helped me appreciate the written word more than what I think I would have had I grew up with a TV. Questions I would ask my favorite booktubers. How do you find time to read, film, and consistently post and keep up with your full-time job? And of course, what is the hardest part? That would be my other question. Okay. That would definitely I would definitely need to know those things. And I have asked those things. What's challenge do I think would be the hardest to overcome as a booktuber? Filming and editing during the school year. I think that would be the most difficult because, as I said, I'm an high school English teacher. I work 30 minutes away from my house, and also I'm a yearbook sponsor, so it keeps me quite busy. Also, I'm pretty involved with my church. When did I start reading? I'm sure I read before this, but I can remember really starting to love reading in the fourth grade. My fourth grade teacher, Miss Cheryl Pollock, read the Little House books to us. And I really remembered like that spark just hitting at that point. She read other books to us that year, but that is the book series that really just sparked an interest in reading to me. And I remember not very long after that picking up Jeanette Oakes' Love Comes Softly. I don't know if it was right after that, but it was not long after that. Where do I read? I read anywhere I can. I'm currently in my craft room. I read in here. I read in the living room. I do a lot of audio because as I said earlier, I commute. So I listen to a lot of audio on my commute. I listen to audio like when I have any kind of free time or when I'm doing chores around my house, sometimes when I'm shopping, those kind of things. What kind of books do I like to read? I read mostly Christian fiction, as I said, some classics, but within the Christian fiction umbrella, I read all kind of stuff. I read a lot of Christian fantasy. I read a lot of Christian science fiction. I love dystopian. Those are harder to find in the Christian under the Christian umbrella, but there's some out there. I'm still discovering those. I read a lot of YA because I teach high school. I've shied away from that mainstream market again because I just got really sick of the themes and the language and all of that and the content. Um, and that's actually for all of it, YA and adult mainstream. I will occasionally pick up a mainstream. I do occasionally read a few middle grade books, mostly around middle grade March. I read a few nonfiction a year, mostly Christian theology or Christian devotional type books or biography, that kind of thing. What does your book collection look like? So, what does my book collection look like? I have all kinds, and I'll post a tour of some sort very soon. Um, you can't see, but I have stacks of books everywhere because my bookshelves are very full. I keep I keep unhauling, but I still end up with more than I have room for. I need to find space for another bookshelf. Not sure where that's going to be. And what is my favorite book? I just recently, in fact, my first video to post on my YouTube channel was a favorites video for the A Picnic in June readathon that I am a co-host of. Was a whole list of favorites. But if I had to pick a favorite of all time in the classics genre, I would pick Anne of Green Gables. If I had to pick a Christian fiction of all time, I'd probably have to go with um, The Hawk and the Jewel by Lori Wick, which that's an OG author that I wish still was a writing because she's just was amazing. She wrote some amazing books. All right. Now let's talk a little bit about me. As I said before, I live in Louisiana, in the west central part of the state, in a military area, quite far from New Orleans. Most of the time, when you say you're from Louisiana, people assume you're from New Orleans. I am actually quite far back. I'm closer to Houston, Texas than New Orleans. In fact, I live fairly close to the Texas line. I am married. Have a dog and a cat, and I've been teaching for almost 20 years. I taught junior high and for many years, and then I now teach high school, all grades. And I am highly involved in my church. I have 2 degrees. I have a theology degree and a bachelor in theology from Indiana Bible College, and a bachelor in arts of education with emphasis in English. So I have those 2 degrees and would love to have a master's in theology at some point in my life if I ever get stopped long enough to do that, because I don't think I have the brain cells to try to do that and teach at the same time. But I hope that you are having a wonderful weekend, and I hope that you're reading something good. Please like and subscribe. Thank you so much.